Let me tell you something, folks. This country of ours has some real garbage cities. I'm talking crime-infested, jobless wastelands where hope goes to die. We're talking cities so bad people literally pack up all their earthly belongings and split town rather than spend one more day breathing that sad, stale air. Cities where schools are little more than holding pens for bored, angry kids, killing time between jail sentences. Cities where the only growth industry is pawn shops, bail bondsmen, and check-cashing joints. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Detroit. But don't go getting all high and mighty just yet, St. Louis. You're on this list too. Grab some popcorn and join me on a little tour of the fastest dying cities in America. It'll be a hoot. So what makes a city dying? Let's talk about how high crime and unemployment cause urban decay. Have you ever wondered what exactly makes a city start dying? As a resident of one of these fading metropolises, I can tell you it's not pretty. Usually it comes down to a lethal combo of high crime, joblessness, and just plain despair. Let's start with crime. When a city's crime rate skyrockets, people flee. No one wants to live in a place where you can't walk down the street without fear of being mugged, burglarized, or worse. As crime rises, wealthier residents move out and housing prices drop, further perpetuating the cycle. Next up is no jobs. If there are no jobs or opportunities, especially for younger people, a city enters a death spiral. The unemployed either leave in search of greener pastures or turn to crime and drugs out of desperation and boredom. Businesses don't want to invest in such a place, and the economy continues to tank. The next one is urban decay. As people and jobs vanish, city services decline, infrastructure crumbles, and abandoned buildings dot the landscape. This urban decay further depresses property values and quality of life, fueling a feedback loop of people fleeing a city that has fallen into terminal disrepair. The hard truth is, once a city crosses a certain threshold, it can be nearly impossible to turn things around. Those left behind are usually the ones without the means to escape, trapped in a dying city with little hope of revival. Pretty bleak, I know, but someone's got to tell it like it is. The first step is admitting you have a problem, right? Let's talk about the top fastest shrinking cities in America. Call me morbidly curious, but I can't look away from a good urban decay story. There's something fascinating about places that were once thriving slowly withering away. The top 10 fastest shrinking cities in America are grimly captivating. Take poor Detroit. At its peak, Motown had almost 2 million residents. Now it can barely scrape together 700,000. No wonder, the once booming auto industry has been decimated, leaving massive abandoned factories and sky-high unemployment. If that's not depressing enough, Detroit's crime rate is one of the highest in the nation. No wonder people are fleeing in droves. Cleveland is another former industrial powerhouse turned ghost town. Like Detroit, Cleveland relied heavily on manufacturing, and when the jobs left, so did the people. At least Cleveland has the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a consolation prize. The same goes for cities like Buffalo, New York, and Hartford, Connecticut. Once important shipping and manufacturing hubs, now left with decaying infrastructure and not much else. St. Louis and Baltimore. Once vibrant cities now poster children for urban decay, their populations dwindle as people seek opportunity and stability elsewhere. For those who remain, holding out hope that fortunes may someday change, life in a dying city is anything but easy. The odds seem stacked against them, but their perseverance is admirable. Perhaps someday, these cities will rise again. Of course, it's not all doom and gloom. Some of these cities are attracting young people again by emphasizing livability, culture, and a lower cost of living. But it will likely take decades of effort and investment to reverse decades of decline. In the meantime, their dwindling populations stand as a sobering reminder of the need to diversify economies and invest in communities. But I still can't look away from those photos of abandoned skyscrapers and overgrown lots. There's just something about urban decay that sparks the imagination, even as it tugs at the heartstrings. Why people are fleeing these once thriving cities. Have you ever lived in a city that's circling the drain? I have, and let me tell you, it's no picnic. The signs are everywhere. Boarded up shops, crumbling infrastructure, and a mass exodus of anyone with the means to leave. Those left behind are either too poor, too stubborn, or too oblivious to realize the city's glory days are in the rear-view mirror. no jobs, no future. Without a solid economic base, cities decline rapidly. Factories close, businesses move away or go under, and jobs vanish. The job market dries up, leaving the unemployed with a little hope and young people with no future. Why stick around when there are greener pastures and gainful employment elsewhere? Crime and poverty on the rise. As jobs disappear, poverty skyrockets, people get desperate. Crime goes up, quality of life goes down, and middle-class families flee to suburbs where they can feel safe. Those left behind often turn to drugs, alcohol, or illegal activities to numb the pain or make ends meet. It's a vicious cycle that feeds on itself. Infrastructure falls apart. With no tax base, cities can't maintain basic services. Roads crumble, public transit falters, schools deteriorate, and essential city services get cut. Residents lose access to healthcare, childcare, libraries, and recreation centers. As living conditions worsen, more people pack up and leave. Can these declining cities bounce back? Here are some strategies for urban renewal. Call me an optimist, but I like to think even the rustiest of Rust Belt cities can be polished up again. After all, urban decay is really just urban renewal that hasn't happened yet, right? Okay, maybe that's a bit too rosy. The truth is, reviving a dying city is no small feat. Where do they start? For one, focus on job creation. Give tax incentives for companies to relocate there. Invest in job retraining programs for locals. Build business incubator to nurture startups. If there are jobs, people will come. Improve infrastructure and public services. Fix roads and bridges, upgrade transit, and reinvest in schools and hospitals. Make the city livable again. Speaking of livable, work on affordable housing and walkability. No one wants to move to a city they can't afford to live in or get around easily. Tackle crime and poverty. Increase police presence in high-crime areas. Fund social programs to help the homeless and disadvantaged. Poverty and crime are inextricably linked, so addressing one helps the other. Market the city's assets. Every city has something of value: natural scenery, cultural attractions, architecture, history, food, music. Promote tourism by playing up what makes the city unique. This spurs economic activity and puts the city back on the map. It won't happen overnight, but with vision, investment, and commitment to change, declining cities can transform into destinations again. The key is recognizing their challenges, developing innovative solutions, and never giving up hope. Where there's a will, there's a way, and for these cities, the will to change is the only way forward. Here are some frequently asked questions about dying cities in America and understanding urban decline. Why are cities dying in America? Well, as someone who grew up in one of these fading metropolises, let me tell you, it ain't pretty. Basically, people are getting out of Dodge as fast as they can for a few reasons. No jobs, the economy has gone belly up, the major industries have packed up and left, and the only careers left are fast food cashier or meth cook. Crime is out of control. You can't walk down the street without fear of getting mugged, carjacked, or catching a stray bullet. The police gave up long ago. The schools are terrible. The buildings are crumbling, the books are from 1963, and the teachers are either burnt out or teaching subjects they know nothing about. No thanks. Housing is dirt cheap for a reason. Either the place is a total dump, the neighborhood is a war zone, or both. Run-down and dilapidated houses as far as the eye can see. Corruption reigns supreme. City officials line their pockets while public services disappear and infrastructure collapses. They're too busy embezzling funds to actually improve anything. Poverty and despair abound. When the jobs leave, hope leaves with them. Generational poverty, lack of opportunity, and community distress become the norm. It's a cycle that's hard to break. Why do some cities decline and die while others thrive? A toxic combination of political mismanagement, economic downturns, loss of major industries, and urban decay. The death spiral continues until the city either reinvents itself or becomes a ghost town. For those of us who escape dying cities, we can only look back with a mixture of nostalgia and, there's no place like home, thank God I left. So, there you have it, the dying cities of America in all their faded glory. Like a spurned lover watching your taillights fade into the distance, these urban husks pine for the good old days when opportunity knocked and streets weren't just paved with broken dreams. But hey, their loss is your potential bargain, real estate gain. Just be sure to pack heat and keep 911 on speed dial in case things get a little too retro. 100 words on the dot and not one more.